and welcome back to the spoilerCast. Talk about movies, and we don't care about spoiling them because it's the spoilerCast. And we usually do a little bit of a, we might refrain from spoiling when it's new movies, but I think we're gonna have to spoil the entire thing to be able to discuss this one, because today we are talking about Malignant. And by the way, with me as always is my sister and trusty co-host, Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. Right.
And yes, today we will have to spoil.
We're gonna have to talk
basically all of it.
Basically, yeah.
We can't talk about it without talking about that.
We can't talk about it without talking about the stuff.
Thing.
But I mean, you shouldn't be listening to the spoiler cast unless you want stuff spoiled anyway. So.
Or you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
And you should be able to. It's on HBO Max and theaters more or less everywhere.
Oh yeah. It's widely available.
Yeah.
Where the fuck do we start?
Yeah. Honestly, let's just start with like a simple. Did you like it?
Oh,
That's not simple.
That's not an. That's not very simple to ask as well, because I've recently started using Letterboxd again. I seem to go back and forth on whether I like that app or not, but whatever. Now I just use it to like grade some movies, and I gave this on Letterboxd. I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Really?
But in my little short review, I also wrote it was either a 5 or a 1 star. Cause I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say this. It's a terrible movie, but I love it. That's what I have to. That's the only thing I can say that makes any sense. We'll get into more why later. But I'll ask you the same thing. What did you think of it?
I just thought it was terrible, but I might be able to like forgive it because there might be a reason why it's terrible, and you'll have to help me figure that out, because I've watched and listened to more reviews of a movie than I've ever done before for this one.
Yeah, I haven't. I've listened to some stuff. I watched some stuff. And I gotta say, I watched Red Letter Media's Half in the Bag review before watching the movie. So I had some details ruined for me. I was like, shit.
Yeah, I avoided that at least.
Yes. But honestly, I still immensely enjoyed the movie. I mean, I thought it was like, okay, so maybe I'll have everything spoiled for me, because I was like, at that point I didn't care about the movie. It was when they talked about the movie that I realized, oh, it's a James Wan movie. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean, if you've watched the trailer, you should know that, because they
I hadn't
put that everywhere.
Me
neither.
I hadn't watched the trailer.
I've only seen the poster.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because this movie kind of unceremoniously was released in the middle of September here in Sweden.
Yes.
It just said Malignant, and it whoever was starring, the girl from the Mummy movie. And I was like...
Annabelle Wallis.
Right, Annabelle Wallis. And I was like, she's having visions of murders. This sounds like a mid-tier X-Files episode. I'll skip it. There's literally an episode about a woman who can see murders from the murderer's point of view.
Well, that's in like every Supernatural. So
sounds like, I'll skip this. Sounds boring. But then I started hearing people... Huh?
No, like even because Svensk Film, SF, usually sends out like letters, especially to us gold members, about like new and upcoming movies coming out. This one wasn't in any of the like weekly letters.
No, it was just released.
Yeah, it was weird.
Probably.
I think I saw a poster on the website, but that's about it.
Yeah, and I read the little blurb about it. I didn't read who made it or anything. I was just like, I'm not gonna watch this. But then people started talking about it on Twitter, where you can follow us at the spoilerCast. Yeah. And they were like, "Oh my god, it's insane, and I love it." Or some people like, "Wow, I can't believe this actually works as a movie. I was like, what is happening? And then I saw Red Letter Media make a review. I gotta check this out. And I was so at first, I was like, I'll skip if they do any spoilers or anything. But I was so like into it, like I gotta see what they're talking about. So I just watched the whole thing, got some stuff spoiled for me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so maybe some of the twists and turns will be ruined for me. But I gotta say, even having like the details spoiled, I still said what the fuck out loud several times.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, I did not like it because I at least walked into it believing it would be a horror movie, and I think you told me it was a James Wan movie, so I was like, okay, I know what to expect, sort of. But yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, this is such a conundrum, and I don't know where to start. Should we go through the story?
Yes, that might help slightly.
Yeah, because that's even the thing. Like, people who are reviewing it aren't just reviewing it; they have to like go through the story to explain things.
Yeah,
and like say what react to certain things because it's so weird.
Yes.
Because
we'll intervene with the points, of course, but
sure,
we have to do it like in order to get to what it is.
What it is, yes, what it is, because it is something out of the ordinary, I gotta say.
Yes.
So the movie,
we can start off by saying that it's definitely not a classic James Wan horror film.
In certain aspects it is, but in certain aspects it's not.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later, though.
Yes.
But yeah, the movie starts
in 1993.
93 or 92, I don't remember. With a cold open, which I gotta say, I did not like that.
No, me neither.
Because it set the tone like this is going to be like an action movie almost, and then it isn't for the next like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And also like, it's kind of hinting at things that's gonna happen later. Imagine if we didn't have the cold open.
Yeah, if we didn't have or we didn't have the opening credits.
Yeah.
We would have had, it would have been even more exciting.
Because then you just think it was like, it's a ghost movie, or it's a poltergeist, or something, or demon, like, because James Wan, Conjuring, Insidious, it's gonna be demons or ghosts. But no, we know something's up.
Instead we get a DC comic cold open kind of, because that hospital.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's a hospital. It looked like something straight out of a DC comic.
Yeah. It looks like
lights.
Frankenstein's castle or something, or Dracula's castle, I suppose. But yeah, so it starts there with some doctors having to there's an emergency because Gabriel, I think they mentioned his name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The doctor says when she starts her diary tape.
Right, the video diary.
Yeah, she talks about Gabriel has become stronger.
Yeah, and then an alarm goes off, and Gabriel's trying to escape, and they're walking through the corridors, and you see orderlies being thrown into walls, and the electricity lights and everything like exploding.
Yeah.
And they're saying he's feeding off the electricity.
Yeah, the other doctor tells us that I tried to electrocute him, but he fed off it.
Yeah. So...
Or drank it or something.
Yeah. It's almost like he's feeding off the electricity.
Yeah.
And we don't see... I think we see like a blurry...
We see it through a curtain.
Yeah, through a plastic curtain. Yeah. But then they manage to tranquilize it, and then we go into the main credits. The opening credits.
Yes, which have a very... I don't know if you ever saw that movie. Oh no, yeah, The Covenant. It reminded me of more movies have done it. It's like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer has it as well. But I just thought of The Covenant because they have a very, very distinct, very telling opening credit where they just flash text in front of your eyes for like a minute and a half, showing you pictures and basically telling you everything that's going to happen.
No, though, they don't tell you everything that's going to happen.
No, but they tell you so many details. If you actually stop and read it,
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't
you'll
do
you'll
that. Yeah.
get every twist.
I thought it reminded me a lot about the opening credits of Seven.
Might
With
be same, yeah.
I don't know if you seen Seven.
Remember?
Well, it's a bunch of like you see someone scribbling notes into a notepad and text flashing by and it's a pop song playing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, that's the same in the Covenant.
yeah, okay, yeah. Because I
You
gotta
get
say,
more of these old-timey texts, so it looks more like the journals and old newspaper
oh
clippings.
sure. That was another thing. The music, like in certain the music in the beginning, I thought was like shot like a music video because it was all hectic and the music was almost like heavy metal music or like rock music. And then when
Yeah.
it zooms in on the doctor, and she's like, "It's time to cut out the cancer." And I got like Doom Eternal vibes.
Yeah.
And then you have that music during the opening credits. I was like, "This is like." I've recently been trying to figure out. I had in my mind this making up a subgenre of movies called heavy metal filmmaking or heavy metal movies. That doesn't have to do with the music or anything in general. It's just the feeling you get, or like the style of the movie. A heavy metal movie that I figured out is Excalibur from 1981, and I guess Mad Max Fury Road,
Yeah.
and had that vibe. The opening credits had that vibe. I'm like, is this a horror movie or an action movie?
Double checking my door. Sorry. No, it made a noise. Yeah, it had weird vibes in the beginning, but then you get to the second opening.
Yes, and it's
or the real opening, I suppose.
and then all of a sudden it's a James Wan movie.
Yes.
You have an old dark house, that just sits right there on a regular street. He always has these old like Victorian era houses.
Yes.
With like
they all kind of
with
look
strange
similar inside, at least.
Yes.
The outside is a bit different, sure, but
it's very.
They all have the same brown tones.
Yes,
on the
and,
inside.
large rooms. His houses always have large rooms. I guess that's because he wants to move the camera around, but that always makes it like, similar looking, especially the living rooms. This looks exactly like. Or feels like the living room from Insidious Part 2 when they're living at the grandma's house or mom's house. It feels like exactly like that room.
Yeah.
But either way, we have our heroine, our protagonist, coming home from a shift working as a nurse. I suppose we don't really get a explanation to what she's working.
I'm not entirely sure it's a nurse. I think she might be like a nail tech or something.
That's too specific for a movie.
No, but like it's not a nurse.
No, but it is scrubs.
Sure, but nail people wear that too sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, no one in a horror movie works as a nail technician. They work as a nurse if they're wearing clothes like
Probably.
that. I'm just saying.
She's wearing some sort of scrub-looking outfit.
So she comes home. She's severely pregnant.
Yes.
And she walks upstairs, and we meet the biggest asshole ever.
Yes.
Her boyfriend / fiance. I don't think they're married. It is husband. What is his name?
Derek.
It is Derek. Okay, because
one of the videos. No, I would listen to a podcast as well. High on Horror. They called him douchebag
Derek, and I was like, wait, was his name actually Derek, or did you just call him douchebag Derek? Yes. Oh, by the way, check out High on Horror. Their episode of Malignant was very, very entertaining.
Yes.
Derek, and he just immediately starts antagonizing her.
As soon as she turns off the TV because she wants to rest. And he's for some reason watching TV in the bedroom instead of the living room.
Yeah, well, they have a TV in the living room. I don't know why. Maybe he wants to lie down, but...
It's comfortable to lie down in bed, sure.
Sure. But then your pregnant wife comes home and she wants to rest after having worked with another person growing inside of her. Wink,
and
wink.
She's having problem with it.
Yeah.
She's saying she's had Dumpling's been acting up or something.
Yeah. And he's just like, "Whoa, what do you turn that off? I was watching that."
Yeah.
And gets all up in her face, and
he pokes the baby.
Yeah, and he talks about because she talks about how many of my babies are gonna have to die inside of you, because this is like their third or fourth.
Yeah. They've had 3 miscarriages so far.
And
So
he's
this is the 4th trial.
super mean, and then she says, don't when he pokes the belly, she's like, don't touch her or him or whatever or it.
No, she says her.
Yeah. And he gets super angry, grabs her by the head. His pregnant wife grabs her by the head and slams her into the wall so hard that the wall cracks and she starts bleeding. Cracks. Yeah, she starts bleeding from the back of her head.
Immediately though, does a 180 and starts like, oh my god, I'll go get ice.
Yeah, sure. So which is like, I guess that's a thing. In movies sometimes if he would have been like, he could have also just react like, oh, whatever, and just gone downstairs. But here they at least tried to redeem the behavior a little bit, but then later when they explain who he is, he seems as he's always been a douchebag.
Yeah, because the sister later on tells us that, like, well, she hasn't been allowed to see.
Yeah, typical
abusive
behavior. Yeah. Anyway, so she smacks. Yes, well, in reality as well. She slams her head, and she just decides to go to bed with a bleeding head.
Yeah. I mean, she locks the door, and then all of a sudden, all we see is her in bed.
Yeah. So
weird cut, to be honest.
Yes, yeah, it's very weird. Like she doesn't even like try to clean it up or patch it up. I mean, if she's a nurse,
not that we see, at least.
No. Well, she keeps bleeding from the head the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
for various reasons, but I mean, it's not like she's trying to patch it up. Anyway, cut to that night. Husband Derek, douchebag Derek, is asleep in the couch. He starts hearing noises from the kitchen, and then the TV turns on, and it's once again a classic James Wan, like walking through rooms looking for something that might be there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's a dark figure behind him that slams him into the wall.
Yes, the exact same shape. Well, the head has the exact same shape as Madison, at least.
Yeah. Well, every girl or every woman except for well, not everyone, but
it's a very distinct hairstyle.
Yeah, a lot of the female actors in this movie has that distinct.
Yes.
The bangs, the long hair. Which is the
silhouette he likes, probably.
Yeah, well, it makes sense later on, but in the beginning it's like, why does everyone look the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, so douchebag Derek is murdered by something.
A shadow.
Yeah, and what's her name?
Madison.
Madison, right. Madison wakes up.
Or Maddie, I think they call her sometimes.
Yeah. Sees this, of course, and his head has been like...
It's been snapped off. But it's not like they broke the neck. It's like
the skin is still intact.
Picked off from the spine somehow, but the skin is still intact.
It's almost like the head is dislocated from the spine.
Yeah.
And then she
gets very strange.
Yeah, she gets chased by the monster or whatever it is.
Because she sees it outside the house the next night or a few nights later or whatever it is.
No, but the monster is sitting by the body when she comes down, right?
Oh, maybe it is. I might have forgotten details. At least she gets attacked by the shadow monster thing.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yes.
Because she ends up in hospital, right?
Yes. And they tell her that Derek died. She's like, oh, sucks, I suppose. And then she realizes her belly's gone.
The baby's gone.
Yeah, the baby died. And then, she starts crying, of course. Yeah.
Life is over, basically.
Yeah, it's like, so it's her 4th miscarriage. In what,
it's gotta
3 years? Yeah, it must be horrible.
That's also where we get the detail that Derek wasn't the best guy.
Yes.
Her sister wasn't allowed to see her.
Yeah, the sister is there at the hospital and talks to the police.
Yeah.
When it's also like there's so many problems with tone here, because like I said, it starts off like an action movie almost.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a creepy horror movie for a little while, and then we have a woman suffering through 4 miscarriages and like just crying her eyes out, and it's just like, there's like hereditary levels of like misery
Yes.
porn almost. It's like it's not a fun horror movie. This isn't James Wan. What is happening? This is really
Especially since
sad.
it's really like jarring in comparison to that first opening, cold
Yeah,
opening.
yeah.
It feels very strange.
But then the movie it moves on.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Oh yeah,
exactly.
that's when she sees the creep
Yeah,
outside
when she comes
in the
home.
shadows.
Yeah,
Right.
when she comes home.
Because after that night, she gets deadbolts.
Yes. When she sees the stuff outside, she decides, I'm gonna nail shut all the windows.
I start locking my doors.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is also a weird thing. Someone pointed that out in one of the videos I saw. That, like, you just had your husband die by mysterious events and you saw something, but you don't lock your doors and you live alone in that big house?
Well, yeah.
I mean, she does mention, like, it's my house. I'm not gonna be scared out of it.
Yeah.
But still.
Which also makes it feel like it's a haunting or it's just ghosts.
Yeah.
Like the ghosts can't get me out of here.
It's my house. I have to protect it.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
Yes.
As Kevin McAllister said.
Yes.
But then more random scares.
Yeah.
Yeah. The part where she's running through the house, right? With the camera. It's like a top down.
Yeah. Very cool shot. Very
yeah.
strange at the same time.
Yeah, because it
though.
goes through the entire house, and even when she goes up the stairs, it still follows her. So it's like they obviously had an open ceiling, and they built that entire house so you could run through it, which is cool.
Yes, very cool, but it doesn't. It's a very strange house.
Yeah, well,
But
it's,
I mean,
it's a movie house. The angles don't always make sense,
no.
which we talked about
We
in
do-
in the Shining
we do-
episode.
We do get a very clear layout almost, though.
Oh,
so,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
at least half of the house.
Yeah. But then we cut to we find out that this takes place in Seattle.
Yeah.
And we cut to a guided tour of the Seattle Underground. We get a brief history lesson on the old Seattle, which the new Seattle was built
on top of the old Seattle.
yeah, which happens
After the
some
it fire?
some sort of fire. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But there's like what does this have to do with anything?
Well, the lady who's saying it is very. She looks like someone.
I did not make that connection at
She
first.
has the exact same hair.
She has the exact same hair, but I did not
at
connect
first
that.
I was like, I don't know. But I did like.
Did you make a connection then?
I was making a connection. Like I was thinking she has to be related somehow.
Okay, I didn't make that connection. But anyway, she does the tour. Everyone leaves and she starts shutting down all the lamps. But then she hears a noise.
Turning off the lights.
Yeah, we get some more classic James Wan scares.
Yes.
Where people walking into dark rooms and then hearing sounds. That was like that when she walks into the pitch black darkness of that long hallway, and then starts hearing footsteps and runs out to turn on the lights again. That's the only time the movie actually like made me nervous because that was scary. I hate that kind of pitch black darkness.
The whole Derek scene was kind of scary too. Like when he's attacked, I thought that was kind of scary too. Until you saw the silhouette way too clearly.
Yes.
Because you had the sofa and the weight shifting and the pillow rising again.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
That's eerie.
Yeah. that was kind of cool.
Doesn't make sense with what it actually was, so I we'll get back to that.
No, it does if someone was sitting there.
Yeah, but we'll get back to that.
Someone was sitting there, so.
Well.
No, they were.
How did they just disappear when the light turned on then?
Because he moved his head, so they ran away. Because you see someone sitting there.
Yeah, but it's really like you remember that movie Lights Out?
Mm-hmm.
When you turn on the light, they just disappear because they can't exist in the light.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
But
it
this
was very much that.
Oh, okay. Produced by James Wan.
Right, that's true.
Anyway,
Oh yeah, the tour guide gets snatched.
Yeah, we don't. Do we find out immediately what happens to her? Because something just jumps out of the darkness and attacks her.
don't we see the creep carrying her to a trunk?
Oh, right. Yes.
I think that's
I think that's
straight
it.
after that.
Honestly, I gotta say, going through the entire movie, maybe that's a little too much
Wait,
because there's so
we've
many
skipped the
details.
part.
Huh?
Isn't the first doctor killed before that? Because we know that is the killer when she gets grabbed. So the first doctor
No,
must have
no,
been killed before
no,
that.
no. Because when we see the lady from the underground tour, we see her again. She is hung up, basically crucified,
Hey.
in the rafters of what we suppose is an attic.
Yeah.
Because it has that roof
A
shape.
triangle.
Yeah, we
roof.
see someone ripping off their clothes, and
Yeah, right.
and then
No, but that's when she's filing the weapon. Well, it.
no, because she calls the doctor.
Oh,
She says, or she.
right.
No, we're spoiling it here.
Yeah,
um,
well, whatever.
the
Well,
the monster, the
he.
thing, the
Well, I don't
killer.
know.
Yeah, he, she. I don't know. They. Says, you don't know how long I've waited for this, but the doctor first. And she holds up the.
Right, it's when the captive is trying to escape that she's the monster, the killer
Yeah.
is
So
doing the thing with the knife weapon
yeah.
thing.
So
Right.
she
Yeah.
calls the doctor from the beginning of the movie.
Right.
I've watched this twice.
I wanted
watched
to,
it.
I didn't have time.
I watched it yesterday, and I watched it just before we started recording. Sorry, recording. And I still, I gotta say, I was like passively watching it today, still,
Yeah.
but still, and a lot of details in the middle, and they kind of float
It's
together.
it's kind of hard to keep track of what takes place where because it's all very it's kind of choppy but still very confusing and some scenes are very similar at the same time. So I'm having a hard time like putting it in right order.
Yeah, but
Because you
then
have the whole like all the dark scenes with the killer and then you have very light scenes that all seem to take place with the cops.
mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of not having the best time trying to keep track of which takes place
No,
where.
all the cop stuff I thought was boring.
Yeah.
I know some people had a lot of fun with those characters.
Oh
Once again,
God.
mentioning High on Horror, they loved
Yes.
Detective Kikoa. What was his name?
Shaw.
Kikoa Shaw.
Kikoa Shaw.
Which
Everyone called him Kikoa.
it
No
is
one
very
said Detective Shaw.
it is very funny that his name is Kikoa. Why not just pick some regular name?
Yeah.
Since you're gonna say it all the time, Kikoa, Kikoa.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And they mentioned as well that his partner is a knockoff. What's her
Wanda
name?
Sykes. That
Yeah.
one was obvious. I thought so as
Yes.
well. It's obviously a like mid 2000s Wanda Sykes.
Yes. Or at least wannabe.
Yeah. But all that stuff was like, I didn't really care about the police stuff. That was just there for exposition. It felt like.
Yeah.
So, cut to Madison once again.
Right.
Running around picking up laundry. And
As one does.
As one does. After having your husband murdered. And lost a
And
child.
miscarriage.
There's still laundry to be taken care of. So she picks up all the laundry, puts it in the washing machine, and then she sees the doctor sitting behind the washing machine lid. That was a good jump scare.
The glass door thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when we see the first her seeing the murder, her visions of the
Yeah.
murder.
Because the doctor screams out, "What are you doing in my house?" And she screams
This is
back,
my
"It's
house."
my house."
Yeah. And then she is sitting in the kitchen.
Yeah, because they're adjacent. And she tells herself, "I can't move."
Yeah, I can't move. And then the room morphs around her, and she's all of a sudden she's in the doctor's house, and we see a dark figure once again, talking to the doctor. I don't remember exactly what they say, but something. Grabs that trophy that we saw in the beginning. It was in the video log thing. And we also saw it when the doctor was sitting in the office, answering the phone, and getting her fucking face smashed in by
Yeah.
that trophy. It's so violent, so gory. Even though it's all
Yes.
CG gore, I like the gore.
Yes. There was a lot of blood, which hasn't been in a lot of horror films lately.
No, no. So I enjoy that, even though it was all fake. I mean,
Well, yeah.
it's digital instead of real blood. Fake,
Yeah.
real fake blood. Um, and then the police come back, or because
No, but we see the police then examining the murder scene because the maid had called it in
oh yeah,
the next morning or whatever. There's no connection yet between Madison and the murders.
no,
No. Right. We have that weird scene where the forensic person lady like flirts with Cocoa.
yes,
Like, okay, very necessary. Realize
yeah,
that she is played by James Wan's new wife.
yeah. She also wrote the script, or was no,
Right, she was part of
she had a
writing
hand in
story.
coming up with the story. She didn't. It was
Yeah.
another lady who wrote the actual script.
Yeah.
And that makes sense then, because she's a pretty bad actress.
Yes. She feels like one of those like cheap TV show actors.
Yes, that's why I didn't like all the cop scenes, because it all felt like they were bad. They were bad.
Felt like a
all of
cheap
them.
NCIS or something.
Yeah, it didn't fit with the rest of the movie.
No.
But it kind of reminded me of like the old Saw movies when James Wan was still involved with the Saw movies.
Right.
And they had a bunch of
yeah.
cops standing around just talking at crime scenes about stuff, murders, and creepy things.
Giving us details, basically.
Yeah. Once again, very, very James Wan-y. Old school
Yeah.
James Wan.
Yes.
But then... cut to the next
Where were
dream
we?
sequence. Yeah, well, they're standing in the doctor's... at the doctor's murder scene. The police. And then, I don't remember details... Cut to the next dream sequence or vision when
Yeah, isn't the one in between is when the sister climbs in through the window and then they just talk a bit and then the next night happens?
yeah. I guess. I think so.
I think
yeah,
so.
that makes sense.
Because the night murder scenes happen quite fastly in succession.
Yeah, and there is really only
There's two
3.
and a half.
Yeah, 2.5, exactly. I was gonna say kind of 3, but yeah, 2.5 makes more sense.
Yeah.
And we have another very, very, very good. I like the vision scenes, and specifically the second one.
I like them, but I don't like how they are like the melting of the walls.
No, that
look
looked kind of cheap. But the idea,
the rest of it's cool. Yeah.
and I like that because she's laying in bed, and then she turns over, and all of a sudden she's laying in the other doctor's bed.
Yeah, well, she's facing him. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it's the guy who said he was feeding off the electricity from the opening. And then we get to see him. Well, I guess before that we get to see him. He talks on the phone with someone else. Like, why would they murder her? She tried to help children or help them.
Yeah.
Were they coming for me next? Or it felt like he was saying. Like,
No, he was like, no, it's probably nothing to do with that.
Right.
So he's not worried, and then he notices that his window is open and there's water on the floor because it's raining. So he goes to get a towel.
Yeah,
like,
but there are like wet footprints leading into his dark closet, and he's just like, "Oh, hello!" Goes in, turns on the light, of course. Once again, James Wan walking into dark rooms.
Yeah.
But then there's no one there, so he's
very saklig. How do you say that in English?
He's very methodical.
Yeah, it's like very whatever.
Well, I have to dry the floor now, so he grabs a towel, and then he goes to bed.
Goes to bed.
And then she wakes up in his bed, looking straight at him. That was creepy.
Yes.
Because he's just lying there. It almost looks like he's dead already.
Yeah. He's dead asleep.
Yes. And then climbing over Madison is the killer, the thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, we just see the long dark hair and the dark coat, and I think it looks like it's wet or oily this time because it's
it's been out in the rain,
in the rain.
And
you have that eerie red light coming from the
big neon sign outside his apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It puts a very nice eerie twist to this murder. Not twist, but like detail.
Yeah, makes everything bright red.
Yeah.
And when we talked about it, but in the wrong place. The scene where the murderer turns the trophy into an actual like knife or sword.
Yeah.
That happens before this.
True.
So now they have an actual sword, and once again stabs the doctor in the face repeatedly until his face is gone.
Blood just splashing everywhere.
And we see the weird shape of the killer.
Yes.
It's like his body is almost like bent backwards.
Yeah.
Madison is just lying there, completely frozen, watching this happen.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up, and that's when she contacts the police and says, "I saw him get murdered."
Yeah, and she tells them where, and they go in and they find him.
Yeah, they find
dead in bed.
And
that's when they're like, "How did you know?"
How did you know about this? And they start suspecting her.
Yeah. Oh, before that, they have picked up the first doctor's records, all the records she had on all the previous patients.
Yes.
But I don't think they've gone through it yet. That comes later, I think, or after this, perhaps.
I think so.
That's a weird detail as well.
Yes. No, they must have gone through it because he gives the picture of the little girl, gives that to the guy who makes the facial aging pictures things.
Yeah.
And when
and he sees it after they leave the station this time.
Yeah, when Madison leaves the police station, or maybe maybe they're in the police station twice.
See?
I don't know.
Yes, but this is the first time, and after the first time, the other guy, the guy who aged the photo, says, "I can't believe you just let her go after you saw the photo." He's like, "I haven't seen the photo."
Yeah, exactly.
And the photo looks just like Madison. Like,
but they
took a picture of her, basically.
Yeah, it is a picture of her.
Yeah,
literally. But now we're getting ahead of ourselves again. Honest, I'm the middle is where I thought this was a terrible movie. Because we have the whole part where the lady who was stuck up in the attic, turns out she was stuck in Madison's attic and falls through the ceiling.
After this. That comes after this.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, because after that they're like, wait, you knew about the murders, and you had the kidnapped lady stuck in your attic, right?
That's when that's more towards the end, actually.
Well, yeah, well, we have the sister
very long end, though.
We have the sister going to the old hospital.
Also very strange.
I don't even remember what happens there.
No, I think I literally blinked and missed it.
Yeah, because she picks up something?
Videotapes.
Yeah, but then the mom has videotapes as well. Oh, that's other videotapes.
No, she brings them to the mom.
Right.
And they watch it and they figure out that, Madison was born with a conjoined twin.
Yeah, a parasitic twin.
A parasitic conjoined twin.
Yeah.
One of those where you should have absorbed them in the womb, but it never fully happened, and this time it, I guess, mutated.
Yeah.
In some weird way. And we find out that Madison's original mother, was, like, assaulted when she was 15 and couldn't keep the baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Babies.
We don't.
Baby. Yeah.
Do we get a detail why? Because there's a tape where she says, like, I hope
her mother refuses to help her because it's ungodly.
Right.
Because she has the baby out of wedlock because she is assaulted,
Yeah.
S.A. I'm not going to say it because if it goes on YouTube,
well, I've never had that problem. I say rape all the time in my videos.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, my stuff isn't monetized anyway, so that's fine.
That's true.
Yeah, she's obviously she's raped.
Yeah, by someone. We don't know who.
We don't know who.
And her mother is, like, shunning her for it.
Yeah.
For getting pregnant by it and having the baby. The conjoined twin baby. I don't know how to call it. Is it one? Is it two? They have the same brain.
They are twins.
Yeah. Okay. That I was trying to, like, that part didn't really make sense to me. But when you see it physically, it's like, okay. Because then you see it physically in a videotape as well.
Yeah, they watch the videotapes and they literally just show that out of her back, another person is growing.
Yeah.
And it looks like a
Voldemort
monster.
Style out of the...
But with arms and everything.
Yeah, like, it looks like the arms of a what's it called? A praying mantis or something.
Yes. It looks like a
Very
monster.
strange.
Yeah, it looks like a
Yes.
monster.
And it can't speak. It screeches.
Yeah. So they try to like they try to work with it to make it like I don't know, so that she can live with that thing growing out of
Yeah.
her back, and then they realize that no, it's just gonna like feed off of her and try to
Yeah,
take
because she
over.
starts losing weight and stuff.
Yes, so they decide to cut out the cancer, as they call it.
Yes.
Because it's a malignant twin.
Yeah. It's a tumor.
It's a tumor.
malignant
Yes. Yeah.
cancerous
She
tumor.
explains it as a tumor.
Yeah, well, it is sort of because it's growing on her,
Yeah.
stealing energy from her. That's what a tumor does.
Yeah. But of course, it turns out that they can't just cut it off because they share a brain.
Part of the brain,
Yeah. So they cut off as much as possible and then just push the rest into her head and body. I
Yeah.
guess head.
Yeah, I think it's the brain mainly.
And sew it shut. And they're just, all right, so you have another person living in your head. Literally.
Yeah.
Not just voices, that you're crazy.
Again, someone I watched today pointed out, like, how do you fit extra brain inside the skull? Also, why has no one reacted to the scars she must have?
That's because she have the long, thick hair.
Okay, yeah, so her husband has never seen her naked.
Well, the back of her head is covered of hair.
Yeah, but the back.
Oh, you mean the back?
Creature out of her back as well.
Detail.
That must be a massive scar because they like removed half a rib cage off of her rib cage.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense. We'll get the. We're almost at the end of the movie here, and then we can start talking about it properly. Because as they're watching this, Madison is placed in jail. Because she's the main suspect.
Yeah, and they found the kidnapped woman falling out of her attic. So yes.
Yeah. And we find out that the kidnapped woman is Madison's real mother.
Yes,
so there's a connection there as well. Yeah.
Which that's the connection I couldn't make because I was thinking it should have been her mother, but she looked too young. But then obviously
she was
had
15
the baby
when she had her.
15.
So she should be like.
When I realized
45.
that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then we get to the third act, which is what everyone is talking about, because there are some like, whoa, holy shit moments in the middle, but few.
Sure.
Little ones.
Most of them are just like the murders are looking kind of cool and gory.
Yeah. But the third act, this is intercut with the sister and the adoptive mother watching the tapes about Gabriel, as they call the tumor. Yeah. And we see Madison in the jail cell with a bunch of like the
weirdly stereotypical.
Yeah, the most stereotypical like movie hookers and strippers who are all in the they're in the drunk tank. Like there's literally a hooker from the 70s with a huge afro sitting there.
Yeah.
Which is it's so weird. Like, everyone looks like they're a stereotype. You have that. You have the gangbanger chola with the shirt and the bandana.
Right.
And you have what's her name, Zoe Bell, playing the mullet lady who just gets angry with her. And then they start attacking her. Yeah, exactly. They start attacking her for no reason other than
they think she looks too prim and proper to be in the same cell as them. They're like, they say like, did you get lost on the way to the country club or something?
Is that enough to beat someone up in
and
a jail cell?
Them. So yeah, that's enough to beat them up.
Well,
or her up.
That's when Jacob wakes up properly.
Jacob?
Oh, sorry, Gabriel. Who's Jacob?
Gabriel. Where did you get Jacob?
I don't know. Gabriel wakes up and
Gabriel's like, fuck this.
She pulls her like skull apart and his face pushes out of the back of her head.
Yeah. Because then, callback when the head was smashed open by her husband.
Yeah, that's when she started having the visions. Breathing. Yeah.
I suppose.
And Gabriel then, Madison, Gabriel, whatever, just starts massacring everybody in that jail cell.
Yes. But it's not done in any normal way. No,
no.
because Gabriel's in the back of her head, so
Yes.
he sort of breaks bones to turn her body somewhat at the backside. I don't know how to
I don't,
explain it.
and he wasn't breaking because then he wouldn't be able to use
It
the
sounded like
arms.
bones were
Yeah, I know,
cracking, though.
I know. The sound is bones breaking, but it's literally just him like moving the arms back. They just
Yeah,
wanted to sound creepy, but he couldn't
I
break his
get.
own arms because then he couldn't use them.
No, that's true. That's true. So,
Yeah,
but it's like
but yeah,
a
everything is
body
backwards.
being backwards, but moving that for. It's just so
Yeah,
weird.
and we do see that in a chase scene between Kikoa and the murderer,
Yeah,
Gabriel, earlier. When you kind of see it run, and it's very agile, like jumping and almost like parkouring
yeah.
around.
Climbing on walls, almost like the demon or Spider-Man.
Yeah. But here we see it full
Everything looks
force.
kind of awkward because it looks like it's in the wrong angle.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah,
And it starts killing everyone. Manages to get out of the cell by killing the cop.
yeah.
Goes into the evidence locker because they found the murder weapon. They found the leather coat
Yeah,
that the
because it
murderer's
was all
wearing.
in the attic.
Yeah, in the attic. Goes to get that stuff and then just runs through the police station, murdering everybody.
Yeah.
And you have once again a very typical James Wan scene, super wide angle, and was one long take where Gabriel
Weeping
just
camera.
camera goes around and round and round. Looks just like the first action scene in Aquaman
Yeah,
when Aquaman's mom, who's the actress?
I don't remember.
No, not Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
This is gonna bug me. What's her goddamn name?
Let's see. I mean, Aquaman should be one of the top movies when you press
Nicole
on James
Kidman.
Wan. That's the one.
Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
When she starts fighting off the Atlantean warriors, it's this super wide angle spinning around her as she's killing or beating everyone. This is the exact same scene, but much bloodier.
Yeah.
um,
And unfortunately, no, I have to add, that scene looks like I wrote it down as it looks like some sort of video game cutscene from a Resident Evil.
yes, there is a very similar scene like that in Resident Evil 5, which they also do in the fourth Resident Evil movie.
Yeah,
When they fight
true.
Wesker in the big white room in the end of Resident Evil.
right. Yeah, that's what
Afterlife?
it looked like.
Yeah. She
Because
like
then also you can see it's very clearly CGI.
yeah, like it's like 90% of CGI,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
because
But it's
first
still
of all, no one can move like that backwards.
no. I don't know though. I would love if it actually was real. I would like to see some behind the scenes stuff to see how much of that was actually real. And how they did the backward stuff. I hope it's more real than fake. But I don't know. Either way,
There is one person credited as the physical performer for Gabriel,
well, yeah, obviously sometimes it's a real person.
called Marina Mazepa, and she is a contortist of some sort, I think.
Contortionist. Yeah.
Contortionist. I
Yeah,
think.
well, yeah, it's not always CGI.
Or like a dancer or something.
You
'cause
see Gabriel run backwards a bunch of times,
Yeah.
and it's real. But yes, a lot of it is CGI as well.
Yes.
But anyway, cutting people's arms off and beating other people with that cut off arm, it's jumping around, and all of a sudden it turns into an action movie again.
Yes.
With Kikoa and Wanda Sykes coming in trying to stop him.
Or Nicole Brianna White, as she's actually called.
Yeah, sure, it's Wanda Sykes.
Regina Moss, the character.
Yeah, sure. And then
Wanda Sykes light.
yeah, and then of course Gabriel escapes because they can't stop him. He snaps the wrists of another cop who comes in, and for like a second is the main character of the movie. Like stop the blue
Yes.
suit woman who we haven't seen
Mercedes.
before, but the way she like shows up in the movie feels
I
like
think she's called Mendes in the movie, which is also weird because we don't get a name, but it looks like her on the cast list.
yeah. And she just comes in out of nowhere. She just runs in the room like stop and starts shooting Gabriel, and we've not
Fail.
seen.
Obviously.
Yeah, but we haven't seen her before. But all of a sudden, she's like the main character in the scene, and gets her wrist snapped off, And Gabriel runs away, of course, and he's heading for
Yeah.
the hospital where the original mother is resting or whatever, recuperating.
Yeah.
And
Of
that's
course.
yeah, and well, and then we remember that Madison is also going with Gabriel because they're the same person.
Yeah.
Because
We
then
do
all of a
get one
sudden,
like called Snapback where she sits in the cell again and she like sees all the dead cops, but
yeah,
that's about it.
yeah, because she is stuck in her mental prison.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and anyway, I'm realizing we're not doing a good job of retelling what actually happens in the movie
But it's because it's
because
very difficult.
we're missing so many details. But whatever. She shows up in the mother's hospital room. Gabriel.
Gabriel.
The sister is there, or
Yes,
she
because she
shows
figured it
up.
out.
Yeah, she's
She
going
goes there.
to the hospital because they were watching the tapes, and she's calling Kikoa and saying, "Kikoa, you have to go to the hospital where the mother is." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Okay." They all meet up there, but of course, Madison manages to take control of her body again. But we do get a scene where Gabriel shoots the sister in the head, strangles the mother to death, and then it's like, haha, he killed them all. But then he didn't. Because
Then all of a sudden Madison shows up in his field of vision and turns out that he was just imagining that.
she had created a mental prison for him,
Yeah.
and now he is stuck in there. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get you. And she's like, that's fine, because the next time I'll be prepared.
Yeah.
And then
I
the movie
hated
basically ends.
Yeah, and then you just get the like very dramatic. She's looking at her adoptive sister, going like, "All this time I wanted blood connection, but you're my family for real."
Yeah, because she does tell her sister
At one
after
point.
after the husband is killed, like, I'm actually adopted. And she's like, what? Which is weird.
She's
Why
like, all
did
I
they
wanted
not?
was blood connection with something, and that's why I want a baby so bad.
Yeah,
And yeah, by the way, I'm adopted. They're like in their 30s.
they're in their
And the sister
30s.
didn't know.
Yeah, which is weird. And then
Very mean.
she says, like, yeah, all I wanted was a real connection when the real connection was there in front of me all the time. But it's, if we're gonna be like technical about it, you don't have a biological connection to your adopted sister.
No.
So, but
You
I mean,
have
I get it. All she wanted was a real family, and she had a real
Yeah.
family. And then the movie
Which
ends.
is probably something that adopted kids have struggling with.
Maybe
I don't know.
I haven't met too
Yeah.
many adopted children. Anyway,
No.
and the movie ends with them hugging, and then you see a lamp standing desk lamp, and then you hear an electric
Ring.
buzzing, zzz, and then it cuts.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he's still in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. It's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's all over the place. It's gothic horror. It's a slasher movie. It's a ghost movie at some points. It's almost like a giallo with all the gloved hands and the red light that you mentioned, and the police trying to figure out the murders. That's very Italian, like a police movie, giallo as it called.
Yeah.
And it's an action movie. It's all over the place.
Everything in one. It's even at points almost comical.
Yes.
Which
Not like they're trying to be funny, but the movie is so ridiculous you have to laugh.
Yeah, but is it making? That's what I'm having an issue trying to understand what it is. If I'm liking it or not. Are they trying to be too much? Or is that like an honest mistake? He didn't realize that he was going too far.
Yeah, and that's where we get into the big question. Like, is this a serious movie or not? Did James Wan sit down and say, I want to make, because they're selling in the trailers, it's all like, oh, this is a new vision of horror from legendary filmmaker James Wan. Like,
And they bank him on all the horror films he's been involved in. They didn't even
like,
mention Aquaman, I think.
maybe I don't know.
Maybe.
But they're selling it like it's this new unique take on horror.
Yeah.
And I guess it is in certain aspects.
See, some of the people I listened to today want it to be a new way of doing horror, introducing a more, they call it camp. I'm not entirely sure what camp is. I'm thinking it's over the top.
Yes, camp is classic camp, 1960s Batman. You know, the TV show.
Yeah,
It's
okay, yeah.
campy. It's silly.
It's
Um,
too much and silly, but
yeah,
it's on
Army of.
purpose.
Have you seen Army of Darkness, the third Evil Dead movie?
At some point, yes.
Oh yeah, well, that's camp.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's almost silly, but it's trying to do too much.
No,
It's on purpose. It has to
it's
be.
silly on purpose.
Yeah.
But it's not a comedy.
No.
But certain aspects are very silly.
Yes. So that's what I'm trying. Like, is he trying to do that? Is he doing it on purpose?
That's what I don't know. Because
Hmm.
the dialogue is terrible. The idea is ridiculous. That there is
I mean, the idea has kind of been done before. That you have a malignant tumor, evil twin growing on or inside of you that controls you.
I know. Jay in Half in the Bag mentioned that it's like literally ripping off some other movie. I don't remember. Basket Case.
I don't remember the name. Yeah.
Which I hadn't seen, but
And there's also like a Simpson episode with it.
Yeah, and
You have Bart's evil twin.
yes, even though he's not stuck on him.
Well, they are first when they are born.
Yeah, when they're born, but then he wants to be
but then
reattached.
separate.
Yeah, I once again I was thinking of an X-Files episode. I don't remember what it's called. It's when they're hanging out at the freak show camp. When the guy has a literal like parasitic twin that can detach itself, and it runs around and eats people.
What?
And then it just goes back and reattaches itself to him.
He doesn't know that it's doing that?
No, well, he knows, but he doesn't want to believe it's actually killing people. But he knows it runs around at night. But yeah, that was what I was thinking of. There was two X-Files episodes referenced, basically.
There's a bunch of stories about this. There's always been movies about stuff like that.
But this is quite
kind
unique.
of going to the extreme.
yeah, and it's quite unique in its execution of it all. Yes. And I'll just read what because we're asking ourselves, is this a serious movie or not? And this is what I wrote on Letterboxd. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars, and it says, I gave this movie 5 stars, but I wanted to give it 1 because this is either the greatest or worst movie I have ever seen. James Wan has created something quite unique with Malignant. It is a genuinely terrible movie made with such precision and skill that I wonder if this movie is actually a joke. Either way, I'm gonna watch it a lot more times. Cause I don't know. Like we said, the acting is bad from most of the people, especially the cop people.
Them.
Yeah.
I don't like any of them. Well, actually, I like douchebag Derek's acting because
he's not in it a lot.
He's not in it enough to have a bad scene.
yeah, exactly. And the dialogue is terrible. There's so much expository dialogue, especially with the cops. Yeah. And the weird quirky forensic assistant who flirts with Kekoa. She's obviously just there because it's his wife, so whatever.
Yeah.
And then some of the camera angles, especially in those police scenes, are so boring and flat.
Yeah, and then you have these awesome shots of the tracking the house thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have all the technical aspects of the movie that are great, like all the wide angle. Did you notice like a lot of the scenes where you like see a lot, like when she's sitting in the kitchen and it transforms around her and focuses almost like on her foot.
Yeah.
That's a typical wide angle thing where like the center of the picture is almost like enlarged, and then you get a lot of the background almost looks, it's almost like a fisheye lens, but not quite as extreme. That's a wide angle lens. And that's what he uses a lot in this movie, like cars pulling up and the car's just giant in the middle of the scene. And the whole when Gabriel is killing all the cops in the police station, it's a wide angle lens that moves in and out and distorts the picture, and it's super weird. And all that stuff is very well made. And the sets obviously building the entire house so they can do that shot where the camera's in the
Yes,
ceiling.
that must have been.
And that's why the police station looks like it's like
It's one square room.
one square room with giant like 15-foot ceilings and this
Yeah.
like it's not this cramped little office like police stations usually are. It looks like, I don't know, it looks like a fake police station. But that's because so they can have this ginormous, super complicated action scene shot in it later. And I appreciate all that, but it's all in service of one of the worst fucking stories ever put to on a screen.
Yeah.
Because the story of a parasitic twin killing the people who he thought wronged him when they tried to kill him, it's ridiculous.
It is.
But they're taking it seriously.
Yeah, and then they're adding it to, like, it's not just a parasitic twin inside her brain. No, it's a physical face sticking out of her head.
Yeah, it's literally another person inside her.
Yeah.
The fact that he instead of then doing it like all dark and moody when the killer kills people, he does. But then it's also like explicit and gory and becomes, when it has to be, it becomes an action movie. Like the chase scene between Kikoa and Gabriel and the massacre at the police station. It just becomes an action movie when it has to, instead of like we just see a little bit of it or whatever. Like you would do in a horror movie. So a lot of care and attention was put into making the movie on the technical side, but then you have this terrible script that they're following, and I really hope that James Wan wasn't sitting down like, oh, this is truly going to be my next masterpiece. I mean, he must have
seen about him talking about this is a very short clip.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Well, like, you have to elevate yourself. You have to. You
have to do something different.
You have to do something different. Yeah, and you know what? It is very different.
It is very different.
He could have just done another Ghost movie, like another Conjuring or another Insidious. Yeah. But then it would have just been another Insidious. And instead he made this, which is so weird and fucked up.
Almost like it better if you cut out the parts where it seems like it's supposed to be a ghost story or a demon.
Yes. And
those two scenes or something where you have that shadow figure.
Mm-hmm.
If you just had made it a physical thing right then and there, it would have made more sense. But you can't explain that without telling us right away that it's her doing it to herself.
Yeah, I think that's
in her head. That's why.
I think that's why they're there. Like, he couldn't get away from it if he wanted to tell the story. He needed to have some of those scenes in there.
Unless he didn't want any of it happening to her, then he could have just made it happen to someone else, I guess. But that changes the story a bit.
Yes.
And it doesn't help that like we mentioned, every actor is just so bad.
Terrible.
And half of them are like cheap knockoffs of other actors. Yeah. I mean, even the sister is like a cheap knockoff of Florence Pugh.
Yes, I heard someone calling her like a Kmart. Yeah, that was High on Horror. Said Kmart Florence Pugh.
Someone else mentioned it as well. It's like they're not the only ones who thought of that.
Okay. I've only seen Florence Pugh in like one movie, so.
And I don't recognize any of the actors except for Jake Abel, who played Derek, and Annabelle Wallis, who plays Madison. Like, everyone else is just who?
Someone, yeah.
Where did they paid nothing for the actors, probably. They took the cheapest one they could find or something.
Yeah. And
I can't say that Annabelle Wallis has ever been good in anything I've seen her in.
I think I've only seen her in The Mummy, and yeah, she's not good there.
Not good in that one. I mean, she's in Annabelle.
I think is that her?
She's Mia.
Oh, she's the mother.
Yeah, she's the mother. Yeah, and she's better in that, but not.
Yeah, I guess.
Not great. She's just slightly better.
And we have another James Wan actress, Mackenzie Grace, plays young Madison.
Yes. Now, the little bits that she was in Malignant, she was fine.
She was good. Yeah, but
she's always good.
Very briefly.
This almost feels like she did it like Yeah, I'll be nice to Mr. Wan because I want to
Yeah,
be in more of his movies.
s- something like that.
Because she's not she's too good to be in this kind of
Yeah, I
movie.
think so too.
She's like an A-lister, and this was all C.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it feels like a B movie, but a super expensive B movie that they put a lot of care and attention into.
Yeah.
Like, this is the kind of movie you would see like a direct to video in the 80s, like, ooh,
Yes.
the scary backwards killer man or whatever. But here it's this big grandiose production that I'm trying to find out. I didn't find the budget for it. But it must have
Oh, it's
cost.
somewhere. Uh, Let me see, because I saw it somewhere. Also,
Oh
I'm
yeah, it's
thinking if
okay. It wasn't
it's
that expensive. It's $40 million, but I mean that's still
yes,
more
it's
than
still a
a
lot.
movie like this should have. It should be like a $1 million movie.
Yeah.
And
I'm I'm thinking if it's better to see it in theaters.
yes, I would say this is a theater like going experience because
Probably.
it is so big and bombastic and I mean watching this with an audience would have been amazing to see people like laugh and scream.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Are we gonna get reactions of people actually laughing at it for being so
I laughed.
silly and over the top? I think I mostly went, what the fuck? Like
No,
face palm almost.
I laughed several times. And but that's well, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
No, the
I'm
budget. Um
yeah.
I think also what makes this unique is I think James Wan is the only one who could make a movie like this. Because
Yeah.
he his last
Today at least.
yeah, well, cuz his last movie was Aquaman, which was right? He just hasn't made a movie
As
since
a
then.
director?
Yeah, as a director.
Let me double check.
Because that came out in
Yes,
2018. I don't think
that's
he made
true, yes.
anything in between there.
He did before that it was The Conjuring 2, but he did a like one episode of a TV show in between as well. But yeah, just before this
But
it
he
was
hasn't directed
Aquaman.
anything in between. Not movies, anyway. Anyway,
No,
okay.
not between this and Aquaman, no.
Yeah. Um, and that was the first movie that was the first DC movie that actually made $1 billion. So they were
Oh, that's true.
yeah. So I think Warner Bros. Was like, you know what, your next project, you can do whatever you want. It's one of those because like with that's what happens when Christopher Nolan proved that he could make like a good movie. After Batman Begins, they were like, okay, now we'll
Yeah,
let you
can do
do
whatever you
the
want.
Prestige and Inception and everything. And he kept on
Yeah.
making good movies. And with this one, they were like his thing is horror movies. So
Yes.
you can do whatever you want. Oh sure, I'll make another horror movie, but so what
I'll
kind
do
of
it my way.
yeah, what kind of budget can you give? Oh, we'll give you $40 million. He's like, what? Because like I think
Hell yes.
the first Saw movie cost like I think maybe $1 million. So now he had all the money in the world to make his weird little horror movies. Because it is kind of that's another thing talking about how this is very James Wan. You had like his horror movies. If you think of Insidious, they're kind of strange too with the further stuff and
Yeah.
the lipstick demon and his lair where he is like sharpening his nails and the weird music, and his movies
Sure.
usually get kind of silly towards the end, even though he kind of toned it down in the Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
But if you think like the ending of Saw when the dead body rises up and like game over, and then going all the way in the Insidious movies, they all get ridiculous in the end.
Yes. They don't change the tone to it. It's ridiculous, but it's still keeping on track of what it was throughout the entire movie.
And
this one it's like 3 different movies thrown into one.
No, not just that. The fact that this time he had the studio's blessing and he had a much bigger budget to work with. So he just went. I just think he just went all. I mean, the first Conjuring was half the budget of this.
Jesus
Yeah, it was
Christ.
$20 million. So he just went all out and made the most James Wan movie he could ever make.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's what I like about it. That it is
It's unequivocally him. I can say.
unequivocally a James Wan movie.
Yes.
Without the studio saying no, you can't do this, or no, we don't have the budget for this. No, just make your movie. We'll
Do
pay
what you
for
want.
it. And he made
Yeah.
this the weirdest fucking movie I've ever seen. No, that's not true. But I mean, up
It's
there.
up there for me.
In the mainstream, it's up there.
Yes. Again, especially nowadays, you haven't had strange stuff like this that is this level of strange
No.
in the last,
I
like,
don't.
even before I started realizing what movies are.
I can't.
feel like
I can't remember the last time I watched a movie that was this weird. That was new.
no, they have to be like from before our time almost.
Yeah, like the
It's
90s or
80s.
80s. Yeah.
Barely 90s.
Yeah. So, and that's why I love it. I mean, it's terrible, but I love it.
Yes.
I'm
Still not sure. I'm like, I might rewatch it, but I'm not gonna watch it by myself for myself. If I'm gonna rewatch it, I'm gonna watch it to see everyone else's reaction.
yeah, I'm not gonna watch it alone. But I mean, this is a movie you watch with friends. You have some beers, and you maybe make a drinking game out of it.
Yeah, or
and
something.
there always has to be one that hasn't seen it before, so you get the what the fuck moment.
Yes.
Because this is a what the fuck movie. Like, what
I
the
sat
fuck
here and
is
said, "What the
going
fuck?"
on?
to myself so many times.
Yeah. Ugh.
I tried to explain it shortly to my boyfriend, and he was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna want to watch it because it's too scary for him.
Sure.
But even if he did watch it, like most people would probably just get confused.
Yeah, I don't
It's a
see.
bit
I don't
too-
see. Yeah,
It's a bit too many sharp turns and weird, like, again, different tones and different scenes that it feels like it's distancing itself from itself at some points.
Well, yeah, it's because everything is made like it's because it's almost made ironically sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you call it, med glimten i ögat. That
Yeah,
James Wan is kind of like wink winks about this is ridiculous. I know, but let's go
Yes.
with it.
I'm hoping he knows at least.
Yes, that's another thing. I hope he doesn't think he made a great, like, a new unique movie, a great movie. No, he made a joke.
Hopefully, yes.
But everyone loves it. So
See, yeah, that's the thing again. Everyone I watched has had the same kind of feeling that we had, except for I think one person.
who?
I think Jeremy Johns on YouTube was actually kind of disappointed.
Huh. Okay.
But most people probably walked in expecting a horror, like classic horror James Wan film.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people who like this kind of can be almost comical horror will like it.
Yeah.
But if you're just going in expecting pure horror, you're gonna be a bit disappointed.
Yes.
And I think that's what he did.
I think that's gonna be the problem with connecting with an audience, because there are
Yes.
people who like campy movies like this. I'm one of them. A lot of people are, but usually those movies don't do well in the box office because the mainstream audience are like, "What is this? This is too weird. I don't like it."
Also, it's marketed as a pure horror
Yes.
film.
It has, however, done pretty well so far. I mean, it's been out for a couple of weeks, and it already has. It's almost made its budget back.
Okay, well that's
if
good.
if you can trust Box Office Mojo, that's at $29 million already worldwide. So that's pretty good for a $40 million movie.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Because I do think that James Wan is a name that will get a lot of people to actually watch it.
Sure, yeah.
But then once the first wave of people has seen it, the rumor's gonna spread and it might not get more
That,
people to go and
oh, this
watch
movie
it.
sucks. Yeah.
You'll only have like the premiere goers, and then the people who like wait a few days or maybe a week or two
Yeah.
after the hype has like passed, then they usually go see it. They're not gonna go because
No.
there's other movies releasing that is more interesting, or
Yeah.
this one didn't get talked about enough.
That's might be a good thing though that it is released on HBO Max because it can probably
Yes.
find an audience easier, more easily on HBO Max.
Well, yeah, because if you read the premise and just see the trailer or the poster, you're gonna be like, "Ooh, nice, a horror film."
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially we're getting into spooky times,
Oh yeah.
spooky season. It's gonna be people starting it, but then perhaps if we're unlucky, I don't know what that counts as though. Maybe people will turn it off and not finish it.
That might happen as well. Yeah.
But I don't know how HBO Max counts views. If they started the movie, is that enough?
I don't know. We don't know how any of these streaming
No.
services do that because they keep it very secret.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping. I think Malignant can become like a cult classic.
Oh yeah.
If
it
it fails in the box office, I think it can come back as a cult classic that people watch over and over again. Maybe not on the
but you
same
have
level.
to give it like 10 or 15 years.
Well, a few years at
before
least.
that.
A few years. I don't think it's gonna be on the level like The Room or something. But I mean,
No.
it's up there. I mean, we talked about that when we watched Wish Upon.
Right. Yes.
That movie deserves to become like one of those legendary so bad that it's good movies because it is so bad that it's good. And
Yeah.
this is on the same level. Problem is that
It's not that bad.
It is.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah. Is it though?
Yeah,
It's
but-
not that bad. It's good. It's actually good, but it's
Yeah, but
bad.
that's what I'm trying to. That's the one problem because usually so bad that they're good movies. They have a director who really wants to tell his story, and it just
Yeah.
becomes a clusterfuck because the director or whoever is involved is inept. Here you have a seasoned director who knows what he's doing and he's doing it well, but he's making a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's so weird because it's not like The Room. It's not like Wish Upon, but I enjoy it like one of those movies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you know? Yeah, but also if he then tried to make a so bad that it's good movie, then that kind of takes away from it because those movies have to
That is
be
not
accidental.
authentic.
Yeah, exactly. It can only be authentically so bad that it's good if they tried to make a good movie and made a bad one. Here it
Yeah.
feels like he tried to make. It's so.
He's doing it intentionally. It feels like,
It
and that's
feels
faking
like,
it.
and I'm not sure. It's the whole thing between bad and good in this movie. It's so intermingled that I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I gave it a 5-star because it was either 5 stars or 1 star. I don't know.
Oh, that's.
But I guess
I think that's like the final verdict. I don't know.
I don't know. All I can say is that I loved it. I'm gonna watch it with friends over and over again. And
Yes, I might.
Time-
I'm gonna watch it with friends, but I'm never ever gonna watch it again on my
probably
own
not. No.
because there's no point to it. Once you know the twist, it's even less entertaining.
No, because then you have the massacre at the police station. The entire last act, the third act, is so insane that you can just watch that as its own little thing over and over again. It is
Now that was almost that was just above too much for me actually. So I did
okay.
like that scene was almost the straw that broke the camel's back.
Really? Okay.
Yes, because the CGI there was just too much.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
If it had been more realistic, if Gabriel didn't have these superhuman strength and telekinesis and stuff, I would have preferred it.
But then it wouldn't have been as ridiculous, and then it would have just been kind of
Yes.
boring.
It should have been. I don't know.
If
I
it
can
wa-
agree that he has to be like extra strong and the telekinesis and the radio thing. Sure, he doesn't have a voice otherwise. I'll give you that one. The strength part is a bit too much, specifically when she later on says, "But it's been my body all along. If he's this strong, then I am too." It's like, Okay.
But that's also super funny. She's super strong and can lift that bed off her sister in the end. I mean,
Uh,
if they removed any of, I think that's the thing. You can't remove anything from this because if you do, it just becomes a regular movie and then it's boring.
you could make better CGI.
It didn't bother me. The
It
CGI
did
didn't
bother
bother
me
me.
a bit.
No, it didn't bother me.
Okay.
That's why I also think that this is like it's like a perfectly calibrated because you can't remove anything. You need the bad acting in the police scenes. You need the
Yeah,
insane CGI fight scenes in the end.
I
Because
guess.
without it, it's terrible. Even though that stuff is bad, without it, it's just not going to be enjoyable.
No, perhaps.
Yeah. But
One more thing, because we have a theme with James Wan,
yeah,
not only in directing but producing as well. He likes to make sequels.
yes,
This one kind of leaves it open for a possible sequel.
definitely. Because he says, "I will get out of here," and she'll be prepared, and the lamp
Yes.
buzzing in the end. It's obviously set up so you can make a sequel.
And also, like, we introduced the fact that she knows that she's super strong now.
Yes.
Is she gonna become this vigilante?
I don't know.
Is she
That
gonna
might
run
be a little
around
too much.
Seattle fighting other malignant tumor monster babies?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I hope not.
This is the kind of movie,
Actually,
though.
hope this is one of those things that he only makes one.
Yeah, well, I can also say that this is kind of movie, since it's not a quality movie, I wouldn't mind if they made more, because it's not like they could ruin the integrity of the first one with a sequel.
No, but like, why make a sequel? Why just make another weird, over the top, campy movie? Why does it
Oh,
have to
sure.
be
Malignant
like a
2.
yeah, a follow up or even belonging to the same universe as Malignant?
No,
Just
I
make
agree with
another
that. Just
movie.
make more weird movies like this. I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess I can't say much more without repeating myself.
No.
If you like weird horror movies, like you like, not like no, I like real weird movies. Like I watch old exploitation movies that are weird. Yeah, watch this. You're going
Yeah.
to love it.
Yes.
It is weird. It is campy. It is super violent. Um,
Honestly, just watch it for like to see what we mean when
oh
we
yeah,
say it's
yeah, because
weird.
we didn't do a good job of explaining the
No,
plot.
it's very hard to explain it. You have to watch it to
Yes.
understand it.
The only thing
Unfortunately, we did ruin some parts, but
yeah.
you can still watch it.
The only yes, and like I said, I knew the twist, and
Yeah.
I still thoroughly enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like about the movie was the music.
Yeah.
They reused this remix of "Where's My Mind" by the Pixies a lot,
Yeah.
and that was okay. It fit, but it was ridiculous to have like a pop song in the middle. But the
But that's
rest of
what every movie about like head problems kind of does.
yeah, that Fight Club uses that
Yeah.
famously in the end. Another person in someone's head, but not physically in
Yes.
that his head.
Oh
Um,
no.
but the rest of the movie was just these weird sounds.
Yeah.
Because the guy, was his name Joseph Bishara, he made the music for at least for the Insidious movies, and I think the music in those movies are good. This is just terrible. So that's the
Yeah,
only
but I
thing,
think
that's the only thing I didn't
perhaps
like.
he had a problem with trying to find the right tone for this.
Sure, but he could have just made some regular horror movie music that we didn't care about. Here it just sounds bad.
Maybe he was told to make it weird.
I don't know. But that's the only thing I didn't like about it. The music was bad.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
It didn't really work.
Um.
Like, yeah, kind of worked, but didn't. I don't know. It was just as weird as the movie, but it didn't really fit.
No, it didn't fit at all. It worked at the beginning when it sounded like the Doom music,
Yeah.
but the rest was just. I didn't like it. Didn't like it.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
I don't know
It's
what else to
weird,
say.
man.
Yeah. I'll just ask you: how if you had to put a score 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, what would you rate
No
this?
idea. I don't know. Like you said, it's so bad it's almost too bad, but it's also so bad it's good. The acting sucks, but it works somehow with everything else being bad.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's either one or it's either zero or all of it. But I
Yeah.
guess I put it in the middle then, because that's more of the high, that's what plus minus one is, you know? Put it in the middle.
All right. Sure.
I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, the only thing we can say is please watch this movie. It is terrible and wonderful at the same time.
Yes, but watch it with friends.
Watch it with friends. Yes, watching it
'Cause
alone is not as much fun.
Experience much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Right. So thank you so much for listening to this very weird episode of the spoilerCast.
Yes.
If you want to support us, hit subscribe on YouTube or follow us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I suppose, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can listen to us every Thursday. And if you want to support the show even more, there is a Patreon link, patreon.com/don'tmakeascene, where you can get exclusive episodes of the podcast, and you also get commentary tracks. You get early access to my other podcast, Madness and the Method. You get early access to all my YouTube videos, a bunch of stuff, and all that for about $3 a month. So please support us over there. And
check out the links.
Yeah, check out the links. There are links everywhere.
Socials.
Yes, at the spoilerCast on Twitter and at the spoilerCast on Instagram. Yeah. And we'll see you in the next episode where we'll properly start talking about, horror movies because it's October.
Yes.
But until then, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.